Now that the Modern Warfare 2 beta is over, it's time for us to reflect upon what we experienced while playing and talk about what we want to see changed or hope will eventually be adjusted, as well as what we enjoyed and would like to stick around come launch time. But as you know, this is COD we're talking about here, so everything we talk about gets flipped in reverse, meaning that the stuff that we like gets ruined and the stuff that we hate gets exacerbated. And that makes total sense, right? Who would want to have a good time in a video game anyways? That's so stupid. Everything is supposed to be a full-on competition, right? Anyways, let's just jump on into the first topic, which are the things that I like that were done well in the beta. And also, please go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments, as I really want to know what you're thinking regarding this beta as a whole and what you anticipate and what you want to see come launch. All right, so this first thing might be a bit controversial, but I actually enjoy the time to kill here. It's a little on the fast side, and in some games I do prefer a longer TTK because it makes you rely on your gun skill. But since there are some pros and cons regarding visibility, which I will talk about more later in this video, I think having the TTK on the lower end of the spectrum makes the most sense, at least for now, until hopefully some of these features that we talk about today get fixed or at least tuned to be a little more optimized. The next thing I'd like to talk about is weapons. Now, there is likely a great deal of fine-tuning that these things could use, but from where I sit, honestly, the weapons feel really good. Throughout the weekend, I saw people basically using every single type of weapon, from rocket launchers all the way to pistols and everything in between. They also all have a bit of a learning curve, which puts them into their own skill brackets. For example, using the M4 comes really natural as far as ARs go, but the battle rifles, they take a bit of time to get used to, especially when it comes to aiming, as you have to be particularly precise. And when you are, you're rewarded with an incredibly high damage output, which makes landing your shots so satisfying. I also think sniping feels great. It has a really nice weight to it, and it feels very intuitive overall. And while I'm not sure how you, the audience, feels, I saw a lot of people using snipers during this weekend of the beta, just absolutely crushing people in lobbies. It was kind of frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Attachments are also sitting well regarding weapon balance, and each attachment that I put on seems to mean something. The pros and cons feel real depending on which set of attachments that I want to use. There was only one gun I ever found to be super overpowered, and that was the beta's reward weapon. The Scar, I think, is what people said it was. I got it at the end of the beta, like right before it closed, so I'm sorry if I'm getting the name of the weapon incorrect. I can't remember what it is, but I am talking about that assault rifle that has the green beta skin on it. That thing is overpowered and shoots like a freaking laser beam, but honestly, I'm kind of in love with it. I think it's really fun when that happens because it's gonna get nerfed and the recoil will go to hell, but for now, it's super fun and makes the TTK go from fast to lightning speed. The other element from the player's weapon arsenal that I thought was really fun were the tactical and lethal equipment options. Generally, I find most grenades and flashbangs to be boring, but I don't know, I just had a really good time experimenting with all the different pieces of gear. I found them to be very interesting. Drill grenades, super fun. They can enter almost any surface, from a tank to a helicopter to a wall, whatever you can throw them at, they will drill in there and they will go bang. Medical syringes are great and they actually heal you immediately, unlike in Vanguard where it took about 500 hours to heal after you injected it into your player. Smoke, thermite, flashbang, inflatable soldier. I liked it all. I thought they were all really fun and good to use. Keep in mind, flashbangs are incredibly overpowered as of now, and not in a good way, but we will get to that in the bad section. I see a lot of people on Twitter and in YouTube comments complaining about the perk system now that Infinity Ward has increased the speed to earning those perks by, I think it's double time, and people are saying, like, what's the point of the perk system if they are earned so quickly at this point? And here's what I say to you fellow COD fans. Just let it go. Let it go. It's basically as close as we're going to get to having normal perks. Don't draw attention to it, or Infinity Ward's gonna quote-unquote fix it, which means they'll just fuck it up in some way and we'll have to go back to the way things were before, and I don't think anybody wants that. Now, I personally can go either way on the perk system, as I did enjoy it last weekend, but I think that's because it was just so new and different. But this weekend I was much more, I don't know, not into it, I guess, for lack of a better term. But hey, I'm just happy that Infinity Ward decided to do something good for once, so I'm just letting sleeping dogs lie. So I wasn't really sure where to put the topic of visibility since I am lukewarm on it, but I guess we'll just put it in the positive section just for the hell of it. Overall, weapon visibility is better than it was during weekend 1. There are still some issues with it. I find myself having to guess where players are gonna go while I'm shooting them because of all the recoil and the smoke effects and the glass bending scopes. I'd rather just track them like you normally can in a regular arcade multiplayer shooter style. I have some more damning complaints with this in the bad section. as it has to do with nameplates, but we'll get there in a moment. I guess what I'm trying to say is that visibility is good for the most part, but there are just some obvious things that Infinity Ward seems to neglect purely out of stubbornness. Lastly, in the good section, I had noticed in the first weekend and even on one of the days during the second weekend that gameplay, it's just really slow. Reasons will be discussed for that coming up. I can feel you furiously typing in the comment section. I promise I will get to it. But the way I countered this issue was by playing respawn modes that are objective based. So domination, hardpoint. I know they're a little campy at times, especially with domination, but hardpoint, it's been fucking chaotic. And I really think it's a lot better than anything else I've played. And everybody is going to be like lining up around the hardpoint, so you always know where they are. These games are so much faster paced, and the footsteps are not nearly as much of an issue once the games get going, because people are calling in so many score streaks as well as dying and respawning so fast that you don't really have an opportunity to listen for things like footsteps. You're just going in crazy trying to take down the enemy team, and I think that's really fun. And this kind of ties into Ground War, which I think was by far the highlight of the weekend. Modern Warfare 2 seems to bring in all these new mechanics that are simply antithetical to classic 6v6 and modes like Team Deathmatch. The more players there are on the map and the more chaos is occurring around the map and with the players themselves, the more Infinity Ward's enraging mechanics fall to the wayside. When it comes to Ground War, this game mode gave me the most hope for Modern Warfare 2. It was fun, chaotic, and fast-paced, and there are so many little sections of the map that feel like little 6v6 maps, and you can go anywhere and get yourself into trouble if you want, or you can swim away to safety or fly in a helicopter and snipe the enemy in the head from hundreds and hundreds of feet in the sky. It is literally a giant playground, and there's absolutely no pressure when it comes to playing Ground War in any shape or form. It's all about having a good time and just doing whatever you want. Like I was saying, this really does give me a bit of hope for Modern Warfare 2 post-launch, as these larger scale and more chaotic modes seem to really mask all of the issues that 6v6 is plagued with. And it makes sense that from a gameplay mechanics standpoint, these features wouldn't work well in 6v6, but for things like Ground War, Invasion, and Warzone, it's actually reasonable to have a lot of the features that people have been complaining about, which we are about to get into right now. I'm sorry for being negative, and I am sorry for being loud, but I'm probably going to get a little heated here. But, you know, I don't want to lie about how I'm feeling when it comes to these things in the beta that I didn't enjoy. Firstly, this weekend was much more frustrating than the first. It felt like every game was a battle for the fucking Stanley Cup. It was insane. And I'm not terrible at this game either, but I'm not the best. I'm slightly above average, but even so, the competition was so steep. I don't know if this is the skill-based matchmaking or people are just more used to playing video games in the present day. I genuinely have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and blame everything, like to say that I'm just like this amazing player and that everyone's against me. It was just frustrating at times, and it made the experience overall worse, in my opinion. When it comes to experiencing a 6v6 match, I was really starting to get bored and frustrated by the end of the weekend because of a few different things. The first one being the nameplates. I just don't understand what Infinity Ward is thinking. Why are there no nameplates for enemy players? There have been so many times where I accidentally think an enemy is a good guy because of the blue dot hovering over his head, but in fact, it's an enemy player just lined up perfectly with my teammate who is across the map. I try to go into every match being aware of this, but it doesn't really make it any easier because the slight delay in your reaction makes all the difference in the gunfight. I also am really unhappy with all of the animations and the player movements. This is ADS speed, sprint to fire time, sliding, reloading, weapon swapping, activating field upgrades. It's all terribly slow, and I just don't understand why. Aiming down sight feels like you are picking up your weapon through sludge, and the amount of times I round a corner and I try to get off a shot at an enemy sitting in a window or something, I can't because the sprint to fire time and ADS time are so slow, I might as well be waving a big sign over my head that says, "Fucking shoot me," except for there is no sign over my head because Infinity Ward removed all the goddamn nameplates. Going from a full tack sprint to aiming down sight is really tough, and I understand that it's supposed to be, but I think I wouldn't be as frustrated if there was just less footstep audio to not let the enemy know that I'm there so that I can at least anticipate the fact that I'm going to be getting into a gunfight. Footsteps are just ridiculously loud. I think they are actually louder than weekend one. The first weekend, I didn't really think they were that bad, but this weekend, oh my God, it felt like Infinity Ward cranked the volume of the footsteps all the way up to 11, and every single instance is different, and rightfully so. But in some instances, you are even louder depending depending on where you're running. This basically encourages you not to run or sprint and to just briskly walk around the map like a fucking mom with weights in her hands in the middle of suburbia so you can fire more quickly and aim your gun faster, because if you don't move slower or stand still, you're at a severe disadvantage. Okay, but I can hear you thinking to yourself, but Alex, they have dead silence as a field upgrade. There's nothing to get mad about. Sure, okay, yeah, I agree with you there, but I'm pretty sure they nerfed dead silence, so it's even less usable than it was before. The activation time takes longer with the animation, the time it lasts is less, and it makes a fucking noise when you activate it. Why? You don't want to punish players for firing their weapons, but you want them to be punished for activating an upgrade feature that's supposed to buff you? It makes no sense. But still, I can live with that. I don't like it, but I can tolerate it. But what really made me the most mad over this past weekend, and I wish I had it recorded because I forgot to, and it was so stupid, was the reload animation and the weapon swapping animation. It got caught up together in this like stupid moment that just got me killed. So this is a little confusing, but bear with me. I was in a gunfight with an enemy and he was shooting me and he ran out of bullets before he could have killed me. So I had just a little bit of health left and he started to reload. So I went to try to switch weapons and lay prone. But before I went prone, I accidentally tried to reload my SMG, but I wanted to actually switch weapons. So I scrolled on my weapon wheel hoping to cancel the reload animation, which you can if you do it quickly enough, like almost instantaneously on some weapons, not all. But this weapon not only finished the reload, it saved in its memory that I wanted to switch weapons. So after taking 45 minutes to reload, I then swap weapons. And at this point, the enemy has reloaded his weapon, gone to fucking Applebee's for appetizers, and came back and shot me in the fucking head. These animations are so slow and I hate them. And I know everybody praises Infinity Ward for their animation work, but I honestly don't give a fuck. Make the game fun, put the flashy shit on at the end. That's how the entertainment business works. When it is the other way around, the product will always fucking suffer. This is why at the end of the beta's time period, I strictly played Hardpoint and Ground War. Those two modes really don't encourage slow movement in camping, but to be fair, even Ground War isn't safe from camping, as I did have one game where the player who had the maximum kill count on my team had 12 kills, and that was for the whole game, not just for my team. So all this bullshit can happen in any mode, but it's a lot less likely, like by a factor of 10. However, even though I was just super angry and venting out my frustrations, what really pissed me off the most this weekend wasn't the slow animations, it wasn't the loud footsteps or the lack of the nameplates, or the fact that Infinity Ward sent me a birthday card with a giant dick on the front of the envelope. It was the performance. It's literally been all over the place. Some days the beta was running smooth as butter, 120 FPS at 4K max settings with DLSS on, running like a fucking dream. But then other times, it was having so many issues. Today was the worst of it. Multiple crashes and frame rates as low as 1 FPS in the middle of the match. Most of the time, it was at like 15 to 25 FPS, but I had some games where it was just 1 frame per second. Isn't this game supposed to be made by 3,000 devs? How is my FPS at 1? So between that happening this morning and me thinking I fixed it, I ended up loading a match on Farm 18, and the frame dips just started happening again from like 140 frames to 100, and it just kept stuttering. So after having 1 FPS for about an hour and then these frame dips from hell, I refunded the Steam game. I refunded it. So I am stuck with it on PS5. Fine, I'll play it there, but I just couldn't do it anymore. If they make some awesome strides in the coming months, I will probably buy it again on PC because that's my preferred platform. But Warzone is going to have to be awesome, and they're going to have to knock it out of the park with these other modes, because I'm done buying multiple games for multiple platforms every year. I do it all the time, mainly for zombies, but I'm done doing it. So for now, I will keep up with Modern Warfare 2 on PS5 only, as that has been the only stable place to play this game, as Xbox players didn't even get to play the beta this weekend because it was just broken on Xbox. But let's round things up here. So what do I want to see from this game when it launches in October? Well, I want to see the animation speed increase, ADS speed increase, slide canceling, weapon swap increase, field upgrade activation speed increase, sprint to fire time increase, basically the ability to react faster. I want all that to be increased. I'm not even going to ask for Dead Silence or Ninja or whatever as a perk. I don't even care if it's a field upgrade. I can see Infinity Ward's perspective on that. But what I don't understand is why it sets off a fire alarm for everyone for you to hear when you activate it. I'd like to see enemy nameplates as well. But what I'm mostly interested is the events called Raids and Warzone 2.0. I genuinely think that there is a lot of issues that we have with this game that will not be as important, if important at all, once we have Warzone 2.0. Between the huge map and the more tactical gameplay of Battle Royale and the less chaos, all the features that we hate for 6v6 will not matter as much inside of Warzone 2.0. Plus, the map for Warzone looks beautiful, and you combine that with all of the swimming and boating mechanics, it's going to be super fun, and I'm really excited for that. Now, Raids. this has got my attention because this could be something to satiate zombies fans. If it's anything like Destiny's raids, there should be a large campaign-like quest that takes us from place to place as a team fighting AI until we ultimately get to the final boss. I hope that's what Infinity Ward does with it, but puts the COD flavor on it, for lack of a better term. But knowing them, it'll probably just be a 4-hour-long reload animation that you can't cancel, and you'll just have to sit there trying not to blow your brains out. But what makes me nervous about Infinity Ward being the first studio to implement this raid feature is, well, they don't really know what they're doing. Treyarch would be much better at implementing this kind of idea into zombies or whatever AI mode they want to create for their next game. So I wish they were doing it, because if it fails for whatever reason inside of Modern Warfare 2, it's doubtful that Activision will want to try it again, because it will take away dev time from other things. So I genuinely hope that the raid mode, or raids in general, are top tier and they get implemented in other CODs, because it really could be the beginning of something new and something great. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. I am sorry I just rambled on and on like I did, and I'm sorry that I got so heated, but I was just frustrated. I've had a really rough day with a lot of tech issues because of that game and my computer, so I'm not really in the best of mood, but I had to get this video out there. Hopefully you had a good time here. Please let me know what you think about this game in the comments right beneath the like button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dolphin diving sucks, and I will see you all in the next video or live stream. Peace out, everybody.